African Voice, moving on to our third conversation this Monday, and we will be talking about the National Economic Society's conference that's coming up very shortly. They're talking about the 66th Annual National Economic Society Conference, and we have joining us this morning, let me start from the lady, because there's a lady in the house. We will be talking to Evelyn Epelle, who is the chairperson of the Publicity Subcommittee of the Local Organizing Committee for the 66th Annual NES Conference, and she's Managing Director, CEO at the Institute for Government and Economic Transformation. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay.
So good to be here.
You're welcome. Good to see you. Okay, let's begin with you, Dr. Justin Amase. First of all, Nigerian Economic Society. Not many people know about this, and I'm surprised you're having 66th conference already. So tell us a bit about this, organization, and then the 66th annual conference, your theme, which you're looking at, your overarching theme, which is rethinking Africa's development, pathways to economic transformation and social inclusion in a changing global economic landscape. Quite a mouthful. So explain to us really what the society is about, and then the theme.
Well, thank you very much. Nigeria Economic Society is the umbrella professional body of all economists in Nigeria. Incidentally, it was set up before independence in 1957 by Nigerian economic professionals in the UK. And since then, it normally aggregates or brings together economics every year to share experience with leaders at the global level, at the national level, as well as other experts in other areas like experts in the various sectors of the economy. And these ideas are put together and released as a communique, which is an advisory to the government on what the society feels should be done about the economy at that particular time.
Okay, she asked about the main theme of the conference, which is quite a mouthful: rethinking Africa's development, pathways to economic transformation and social inclusion in a changing global economic landscape.
Okay.
Let's break it down a little, because we're looking at rethinking Africa's development.
Thank you so much. We all know that one of the major challenges Africa is facing is lack of development. And I'm going to break down on the basis of the team. We'll look at the three broad sub-team under the overall theme of rethinking the development. We need to rethink, because that problem has resisted existing solution. The problem of lack of development has resisted existing solution. And now the world is in a flux. So the society felt that we have to start from Africa, then we'll come down to the individual country. So there are three broad sub-themes here. Economic transformation. Now, economic transformation simply means moving from a stage of production to a higher stage. Like all societies start with the agrarian stage of production. They move to industry or manufacturing, and then to services. For Africa, there is hardly any transformation. Over 60 years of independence of most African countries. The African economy depends on agriculture significantly, both for employment and for output. And unlike the global standard now, where agriculture contributes an average of 5% to GDP, in Africa, agriculture still contributes up to 30 to 35% of GDP. That shows you the level of lack of transformation. Nigeria's case is a bit better because agriculture contributes about 20%. So you cannot achieve major growth in employment and income without that transformation. It is a structural thing. So that is at the level of transformation. Then we look at the level of social inclusion. We know that at least 2/3 of the global poor, 2/3, and that is a fact, of the global poor are within sub-Saharan Africa. In the whole world, 2/3 of the population of the extreme poor are in sub-Saharan Africa. So that's a major problem.
Okay.
That is an indication of very little inclusion. Now, in some countries like Nigeria, over 40% of the people are living below the poverty line. And that is why policies that will include those who have been left behind are necessary, because their input by way of consumption and their role in social stability are necessary for economic growth to be achieved. Now, when we look at the last broad sub-theme, that is a global world that is changing, there have been so many disruptions. But let's just look at the 4 key ones. The first disruption is geopolitical conflict. Today, the Russia-Ukraine war and so on has been going on, and it has disrupted trade flow. It has disrupted supply chain, and the result of that is that the global economy is slowing.
Okay.
And this is not the only one. So the second one is multilateralism has been declining. Multilateralism in trade, that is multilateral trade relationships, have been going down. Today, we have tariff, we have trade wars between countries.
You know, if we leave you the way you're going, you will finish the conference right here in the studio. I know you've got a lot to talk about economic development in Africa, so we'll let our sister come in here to tell us a bit more about some other sub-themes, because you've got is a loaded package you've got for this time. So, Evelyn, tell us about the other themes that you have: Africa in the global developmental agenda, macroeconomic stability, and policy innovation. I mean, what are the issues you want to deal with? They're all interwoven, isn't it?
Yes, they are. And I really want to say that, the president of the Nigeria Economic Society, Professor Adeola Adenikinju, he's the 44th president of this society, and he has had a 3-year term that culminates here at this conference. And so it's such a challenge for us to sort of include, he was talking of social inclusion, make sure that the themes are very well rounded. And I think that the planning committee was very big on ensuring that we cover more broadly various aspects of the economy. There are also sub-themes on even artificial intelligence, looking at, he was just talking about the changing world order. We see how democracy is under threat in different parts of the continent and even here in Nigeria. So those themes are sort of also embedded within the sub-themes when we're talking about economic transformation. The central bank is also going to be present at the conference. They have a plenary session that will be looking into the macroeconomics as well. There's also huge emphasis on communication, which is interesting because we're here, and I'm not going to wait until you ask us about why there hasn't been too much emphasis on the work and the impacts that the Nigeria Economic Society is making. We're going to proactively say that communication is something that we're prioritizing here at this conference. So you're going to see, of course, increased media and communications for the conference. And that's because we're even starting to see how communication as, a tool mediates public policy success. And I mean, it's interesting that the previous guest you had on the show was the special advisor to the president on policy communication. And that's one of the things that the NES is trying to do here at this conference, is bridge those gaps between very technical policy research and analysis that's been done by professors and students of economists who are pretty much members of the society, and the community that we choose to serve. So we're saying that this conference is very inclusive. Apart from these sub-themes that you've read, there are also a range that covers agriculture, artificial intelligence, the role of technology as well, communication, as I've mentioned, and then we'll go back to like the core economics and socioeconomic dynamics of the country. And we have representation from the public sector, the private sector, academia. In a couple of hours, we would go live for the NES Awards. And I think it's interesting because historically, the NES Awards has always been the culmination of the NES conference, where we recognize and honor young men and women, like I like to call my professors, who have made such an impact in Nigeria's socioeconomic landscape. And this year, we sort of flipped it on the head, and we're starting out with the conference, especially because there's a whole lineup of concurrent sessions and plenary conversations that would be happening on day 2 and 3 and even 4. The conference runs from the 8th to the 11th.
From the 8th means today?
Yes.
Meaning that once you're living here, you're already heading to the conference.
Yes, yes. And I think I should use this opportunity to extend congratulations to you all here at AIT. Yesterday on the NES platforms, it was announced that our own Chief Nancy Ilo is one of the awardees at the NES conference. So congratulations to Chief Nancy Ilo. She's done exceptionally well when it comes to reporting. Chief Nancy Naji. Yes, thank you. You know, she's done, we can all agree that she's done a very fantastic job when it comes to relating the progress in Nigeria's socioeconomic landscape to the public, which is something that's very important for us here at the conferences. How are we impacting Nigeria beyond the technical researches that's going on? So yes, it's very well-rounded.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I add to that subject?
Okay, you add to that.
Now, you talk about Africa and the global economy. Now, Africa has a population of about 1.55 billion people, which is about 18% of the global population. Now, on the other hand, Africa has only 3% of global GDP. Relate that to the population, so you see why Africa is poor. Global trade, Africa has just about 3% of global trade. Now, what is responsible for this? Because of this minimal transformation. If your economy is not properly transformed and you are depending on primary products for export, your GDP cannot grow rapidly. And then issues of trade too. You won't have much to export because the economies have a shallow production base. In other words, they are not transformed, so they are not into large or diversified export activity. And so that is the broad picture of Africa in the global economy. And a lot of the dependence on primary production, primary commodities for revenue, like oil, brings in a lot of risk because the prices of those commodities are determined internationally. Yeah. Especially oil, there's a lot of volatility. If we have a conflict, oil price start to dip. So that is the position of Africa.
Doctor, we really must go now. So much to talk about on the program, but we wish you the very best as you begin the conference today. Evelyn, thank you so much for coming to speak with us. Evelyn Epelle, Chairperson, Publicity Subcommittee of the Local Organizing Committee for the 66th Annual NES Conference. She's also the Managing Director, CEO at the Institute for Governance and Economic Transformation. She's been joined by Dr. Justin Amase, Special Advisor to the 44th President of the Nigerian Economic Society, Professor Adeola Adenikinju. He's a public policy analyst, a former commissioner in the Benue State Government. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much. And we're expecting you at the conference. Tomorrow's opening ceremony would be graced by the Vice President, so we hope that you come out in your numbers to support us.
Okay, we're already supporting you from what we're doing here.
We need your presence.
From the front.
We wish you the very best outing, really. Great to have great economics around, and we hope this conference will help to turn the economy of Nigeria around for the benefit of Nigerians. We'll be wrapping up KAAKAKI, the African Voice, at this point with